Here's a pretty well-worn looking fella. It's a Zenith VR-3010. It's got some weird tape on these buttons. This is basically the same as the VR-4000 I did a video on a while back, except that this one is not hi-fi stereo, but it is 4-head. Made by JVC. Otherwise exactly the same as the VR-4000. I've already opened this up just to give it a visual inspection inside, so there are no screws. But other than power it up, I haven't done anything. Just taking the screws out of here. Let's prop circuit board up here. There. And power it in. It was a nice hum. I don't know if you can hear that over my fan for my soldering iron. That's come up nicely. Alright, could probably even try this out. That belt feels okay. Oh. I wonder if that's some of the coating on the rotary transformer, if it's just dirt. Sometimes I find that these have been sitting for a while and eventually it comes back to life. That's pretty nasty. Whatever, let's try it. Okay, I think I've got it hooked up. That's good, and it pushed down all the way, so that little gear on the side is working. Where's play?
The next day, Dad bought a sun-powered flashlight and placed it in their window. If the light ever went out again, they would have a flashlight right in their room. And you know, the next time the lights went out,
it's trying.
both Katie and Obi would raise and use their flashlight to find.
Still no video yet.
I hope if you ever end up.
Huh. Well, there's some noise coming through on one of the heads. Let's see if I can change the camera to see that field. There we go. Ooh, it's getting worse. So, yeah, that's a rotary transformer seems to be kind of going wacky. Probably shouldn't be spinning the head like this. Maybe I'll open it up and see what's inside. Oh, this thing's a pain in the butt. You gotta take the front cover off, and then to hinge this off, there's 2 screws that remove this bottom piece of plastic. But all these wiring harnesses have to be unplugged. I've undone like 4 plugs and unhooked things, and even then I don't get this freely moving. And you can see it's designed to be hinged. It just, you know, didn't incorporate all the harness lengths in that. And there is a belt under here, so doesn't feel bad. But to get at the bottom, there's a little Allen key right, or a little Allen screw right there. And I bet you that's what's holding this together. And I'd rather not try and undo it from over here for fear of breaking something. So I guess I'll just unplug everything. Oh wow, okay. So that's a problem right there, for sure. And Let's try and come around to here. You will see the problem exists on this side as well. Well, they don't appear to be damaged, and other than them probably randomly connecting to each other as they scrape, because I was getting weird images, I think these could just be glued back in place. Now the question is, what do I use to glue this back in place? Now that I look at this a little closer, I'm seeing some sort of greeny brown on the glue, and I'm wondering, well, I'm pretty sure this VCR was probably stored in a not ideal environment, and the head drop being enclosed like this, you see those specks down there? I don't know what that is. It's like rust or mold or something. So I think that a lot of humidity probably built up inside the head drum as a unit and then worked its way along this winding. It's interesting that it's the two outer windings on the base and on the upper part here, or whatever this, the other side of it. It's both the outer windings. But I feel like whatever I do to secure this outer winding, I should probably put a little bit on the rest of them in case they give way as well. So I don't use crazy glue very often, but I went to Dollarama and I bought some. And by crazy glue, I mean Focus, the inexpensive version. I swear I think 12 volt vids was swearing by this stuff. It's pretty cheap. It's $1.25 for 4 little things of it. So I'm going to try crazy gluing this down. See if we can get it to focus. Crazy gluing this into place, and I might add a couple of dabs to the other windings just to keep them there. This is the easy one because I can do this outside the VCR. Don't want to remove the whole rest of the lower head assembly, so I'm going to try and glue it in place in the VCR. And we'll see how this goes. Alright, some dabs of the no-name crazy glue, super glue, whatever. Looks to be okay. It's sticking up a little bit on this corner. I couldn't quite get it to lay down. I had taped some little rods along here to hold it in place. Hoping that'll be okay. I think it will, because it was barely making a scraping sound while it was just hanging right out there. I think there's a pretty, hopefully a pretty good spacing. Jeez, the focus. No, not that. This. Yeah, anyway. On to this one now, which will need the same treatment, but I'm going to be trying to do a little bit better about holding these into the grooves as low as possible so that these don't stick up at all. This is the one that's completely come loose, but once I started playing around with the upper half, the glue's failing on all of these, so I'm just going to give them all a good dab. If you ever find you've removed the upper head drum for no reason like me, or for a reason, to get these wires back into the holes on top, just grab some lengths of heat shrink if you have those kicking around, and it'll feed right in, instead of 4 wires going in every which direction on either side. Well, I think I may have screwed up. It's rubbing. So if it sits up, it's fine, but as it falls down, it rubs. And I've tried adjusting the bottom, and I think this is from the crazy glue getting on that big ferrite piece with the grooves where the wires go in. And I think I've created some bumps that are rubbing against each other. I've got this other JVC VCR that I've been keeping around for parts. It's HRD14U. And these were all 4-head. Yeah, 4-head 8-hour. This one, the mechanism is completely seized up and it's this little intricate box. I think it's been messed with. Things are like completely gummed up, and it's really beyond. But I want to know if this has a similar head, and then I can just do a head swap. I think that one's from 84. This is probably 82. Oh, no. This is 85. So these were around the same time, so potentially it could have the same head. Hey, would you look at that? That looks like exactly what I need. Probably. I don't know. We'll drop it in and see. Well, that was a pain in the butt. The tape guides were in the loaded position, so I actually had to remove them because they slide over this head assembly. All is connected. So the head is mounted to this cast piece that is screwed to the circuit board along the back and includes the little catchments for the tape guides. This is all one big piece. So yeah, I could separate the head from this board, but it's soldered directly on. So I think I'm just gonna... Oh no, it's different. Okay, I decided to say screw it and just harvested the upper head drum from the other one. Let's just go for broke. Oh, this isn't the same tape I was using, but whatever. Play? Nope. Play? Now I doubt we'll get any... Oh! No audio. That's probably because I forgot to plug an audio cable in, but... What? Wow. It appears to work. Nice. Video head drum's a little noisy. I knew I'd forget one. This is the fully race head, that didn't matter, but this one, if I can reach from the top, looks like an audio cable. So I just got to get that plugged back in. And play is this one. Nope. That one? Nope. Alright, I think I'm going to wrap up the repair. This seems to work quite well. I gave the azimuth for the audio and tracking a little bit of adjustment because the audio was way out and tracking was a little wonky as well. Now I shouldn't have had to do that, but I did. Everything will need re-greasing though.
I'm not trying. I don't get involved in F word. No. You said that had twice.
That's working pretty good. You'll notice the noise on here, and that's because this isn't a dual azimuth forehead. This is like a traditional forehead. I was a little mistaken. The VR-4000 was, you know, the top end Zenith / JVC, and it had dual azimuth with hi-fi. Their mono versions were a traditional forehead. If you notice the heads on this, let's see if I can grab this guy, you'll notice they're, you know, spaced out like that. So SP won't be great. It'll be good. Do some frame advance there. Nice and clean. And the tracking, I need to turn all the way to one side, and I believe that's because of the bottom key on this head drum. I'll show you what I mean. This top piece has a key. See that little notch there? So that it only goes in one way into this bottom collar. And the reason for that is this collar signals to the VCR the timing of the video heads. These two little holes here, or these two large holes, line up with two of the heads. And then this little hole keys which one is A and B. So what they did in addition to that is put the little key on here. But it has a bit of movement. So when you drop the upper drum down in here, you still have a bit of sway back and forth. And that'll for sure affect your tracking, I think, anyway, because it affects the timing between the two. And possibly the head switching. Now, to me, this seems to be working fine. I'm not seeing any weird video errors or head switching errors on here or on the CRT, which has a lot of noise when the big TV is turned on. I think the matching transformer on there is garbage. So I think that's okay. Visually, it looks fine to me. But the tracking is off. I've seen some VCRs will have a tracking center control, basically like a sub-tracking control, so that you can get this centered here. And I can't find it on here. I've looked at all the little adjustments. They're all labeled on the top side. Nothing really lines up. I don't have a service manual. Couldn't really find one online. Don't really feel like paying 25 bucks for one, so I'm just gonna have to say, yeah, when you're watching pre-recorded movies, and probably the stuff recorded on this, tracking will have to be to one side. Let's see how that's one side. That's the center. That's the other side. And let me grab an EP tape. So this one is the exact same. I gotta have the tracking to one side, or all the way to the other side, and that's the middle. Let's find the spot it needs to go. Right there. So, I mean, it's working okay. I wouldn't say this is a great success. This is more of an experiment to see what I need to do with this. Oh, I keep forgetting to plug that back in. I mean, it seems to be working, and it's this era of JVC, I'm always just delighted by the picture quality. If I compare this to that Fisher I did like last week, the Fisher was cool. The special effects on it were very cool, but the picture quality on this blows it out of the water. The clarity, the sharpness, the color, everything on this, even in this current state, it wipes the floor with it. Nothing like a well-lubricated path. Look at this. This RF shield was never twisted on from the factory. It's brand new. I get to be the one to give it the first twist. Nice. Alright, I think I'm about done with this for now. I still want to look into how to center the tracking control. I'm not sure there's much I can do about that, but for now it is working. It cleaned up really nicely. It's really hard to show this on video because the bright white of this table really washes out how beautiful this machine looks. But Zenith really had a style in the 80s. And what I didn't show is I have this remote that I picked up the same time I went out thrifting. Put to VCR. It's a Zenith Universal remote. And what's interesting is it's branded Allegro. It is not branded Zenith. I remember Allegro being like Zenith's audio brand. Had some really, actually pretty kick-ass 1970s speakers. branded Allegro. Those things really surprised me how good they were. But I've never seen it on like just Zenith. It was always Zenith Allegro. It was never just Allegro. So that's kind of cool. And this is a proper universal remote. This isn't multi-brand Command 300. So this would have been sold as a universal remote. I don't think this came with a TV or anything. Maybe? So that noise that I thought was the video head drum, I think that's actually the capstan motor, which is really noisy. You can hear it when it operates the idler and in play mode. And I seem to remember the VR-4000 was like that as well. So yeah, I think it's just how it is. Let's give it a test. I like how the LED indicators show when it's in stop. It's kind of neat. Fast forward, speed search.
A classic Christmas tale. Ah, humbug. He's the world's greediest man.
It's Ebenezer.
Oh, perfect pause by accident. I can do frame advance. So this one doesn't go and seek the cleanest picture like the Fisher did, but it does allow you to be more precise with exactly the frame you want to see. I think pause on the remote does the same. Yeah. So I play.
Tonight he meets someone extraordinary.
Hello.
Yeah, seems to work just
Just
fine.
full of coal for the fire.
Like, listen to that. The hum of the motor.
Do you think it's safe?
When it goes into a higher speed, that capstan motor just whines. Little red tape inserted thing. Neat. And yeah, if you've seen the video I made on the VR-4000, this is basically the same. BFD is a little brighter, which is nice. I think that one had a dimmer switch. This one doesn't. Full digital tuner, like direct tune, no presets or anything. Instant record. It has a tape remaining counter, which is nice, but it's still the 4-digit counter because it unloads the tape when it's not in play mode. Reset that. All the buttons for setting your clock and your timer. The advantage is this doesn't have those membrane buttons. The VR-4000 has so much extra stuff here that these were all moved down to this door, which made it really cumbersome. This door is just a door. It doesn't have any crappy membrane buttons on it. They're all physical buttons up here. Tuner, TV, KTV, AFC on off. I don't know, I think I went over this last time, what the point of being able to turn AFC off if you can't fine tune. I'm sure there's some way to get into fine tuning with these controls. And of course I have direct tune on here, so if I hit stop, I can go to whatever channel I want that exists. 88 does not. So I can go 14. If I'm on TV mode, I can go to the highest channel available. You can kind of see what the cable, let's go back to cable, what the cable lineup was like back then. Went up to channel 49. So this would have been used, this probably would have been taken out of commission in the late 90s, going up to channel 49, maybe early 2000s. Source select, tuner, auxiliary. You notice this doesn't have a simulcast option because it's not stereo. T120, T160 switch, that's for the tape remain counter, so that it can do a proper calculation. Counter memory, that's just that it will, if you're rewinding, fast forwarding, it'll stop when the counter hits 0. Tracking, which unfortunately is to one side. It has a microphone input. Oh, it does have audio dub. That's kind of nice. And a picture sharpness control that I've only ever found useful once. On those early 80s, I guess mid 80s Panasonics, the 2-head models, SP was always very soft and EP was sharp. So I could see that's a situation, and that was a situation where I found I wanted to turn the sharpness control up to peak the video a little bit more. It was always very soft. But I can't see that being used on this one. Your record speed switch. Out is SP, in is EP. RF modulator. I'm going to turn this light off. You can't even see these lights. It's just, they're so dim. And it's just like the VR-4000. This is incredibly dim. Good Lord. And then does this flash when I hit eject? Lovely. Yeah, I mean, that's it. It's a pretty straightforward little VCR. Aesthetically very pleasing. And just a little fun adventure in trying to replace the upper head drum when you have no idea what you're doing.